Welcome to Wellbeing with Seamus, Ep.2. I can't believe it. We're rocking and rolling, and I'm so delighted, beyond delighted, and humbled and honoured to have with me today my sister from across the water, the one and only Dana Sardano, who is just one heck of an individual. Wait till you listen to what Dana has to say. You'll be absolutely blown away. Dana, you're welcome on Wellbeing with Seamus this afternoon. It's nice to see you in person. You are a mum, wife, artist, author, podcaster, to name but a few of your wonderful creative gifts at the moment. Dana, tell me a little bit about you. Who are you for those that may not know who you are?
David, no, you. I like when you do
No,
it.
you. It's you, Dana. It's you now.
No, it's so cool. You are so kind. But what's so cool is I know you mean it. I know you mean it. And I so appreciate that. And just know that your admiration for me is so reciprocated.
100%.
I just love you so much.
Yeah.
I just
and
adore you.
likewise, I love you. I adore you. I follow you. I'm your number one fan. I'm your super fan. I'm your super fan.
International.
As you can see, look, I'm collecting all your works up, right? One by one, I'm collecting. I'm becoming a private collector for Dana. So this is it.
So funny. When you look at both of our screens, you know what I mean? It's that and Barry Manilow.
Yeah, yeah. I need to get a poster up here or something. I need to get a full size man figure or something. Dana, tell the good folks out there about you. Who are you, Dana Sardano?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm on your show because I adore you. We'll start there.
Thank you.
But just to give you a little bit of an insight into who I am and what I do, I'm a retired educator. I was in education for 20 plus years. And in 2015, I always joke, I'm like by happenstance, but I got the nudge and I picked up a paintbrush for the first time since I was a kid, essentially. And it had awoken something in me that had lain dormant for decades. And it felt good. And I followed that joy. I followed that bliss, and I continued to paint. And it just evolved. Oh my God, it was like a mushroom cloud, but it evolved into art festivals, which it evolved commissions, which it evolved into a website. And then eventually I opened an art gallery and intuitive lounge, because in this pursuing of my creativity, realigning with my soul's purpose, if you will, I went on this unintentional spiritual journey, which, oh my God, led to my selling my house and getting rid of my fancy car and moving out into rural area and leaving my job and, all of it. All of the stuff that when you think of like spiritual awakenings, like what that looks like, all the chin spittle and the white knuckling it, and the freaking out, but all the joy and the love and the bliss that came after the fact. And it evolved more into connecting with my old college buddy, Angela DeMarco. Shout out to Angela.
Angela, loving you, Angela.
And we created businesses together. We co-host a podcast together.
Yeah.
Going Commando.
If you've not listened, go listen, go subscribe, go get on right now.
Thank you. It's the best. It's the best.
It's the best.
Yeah. And I've written some books. Now I'm doing the show on Ethereal TV, and I'm just following my creativity into the next thing that feels good. And then when that thing doesn't feel good anymore, I stop doing that, and then I do the next thing. And I'm sitting with you and just really living a fulfilling life of purpose, and I'm loving every second of it.
Wow, Dana, you and I connected under, through extra, I suppose, normal circumstances, right? We were
normal these days.
It was over LinkedIn. It was a professional connection. One thing led to another. I found out about what you and Angela were doing. I liked what you were doing in terms of the school of awareness, the school of life, the school of soul, the school of purpose. But and I suppose we had a discussion. I became an instructor. I'm part of the instruction team now with your wonderful organization. And I don't mind saying it's probably one of the best organizations in the world to be part of, right? It's probably the best kept secret in the world at the moment, right? So
we're all the best kept secret in the world. I'm always joking about it, and I'm going to be crass just for a second. But I'm like, these kids on TikTok, they're farting in a cup and going viral, and we're trying to change the world, and we're speaking to crickets. We're like,
yeah.
We are the best kept secret.
We are the best kept secret, right? But one of the things that has really inspired me about you without a shadow of a doubt, is that you mentioned, your awakening in 2015. You picked up the brush the first time in 2015. Your brush led to an outpouring of your creativity, which you can see behind me and which you can see on your walls, which is absolutely stunning and absolutely beautiful. And if you haven't purchased one of Dana's paintings, go out today and purchase it. Go on our ubuntufishgallery.com and go and buy a painting, because it's
right now.
It's the best thing you'll buy today, I guarantee you. But I suppose one of the things that has really moved me about you is that I've read the 10 Commandments, right? Which was the first book that you wrote. And I understand that this book came out of an experience you had by being in hospital, right? By being sick, by being ill. And this was written at a time in your life when things were pretty rough, right? Pretty rough.
Well, it was written about the rough times, but it was written during a time where things were good. Now, just to be clear, you say I was in hospital, but I got COVID and wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it right here, just because. No, but I do stuff with the book, but I have it right here. But in 2021, I was just talking to somebody about this. I was in the gallery. I was doing intuitive guidance, doing workshops with people and doing this kind of work. And so I was always utilizing my experience it was a train wreck, my previous experience in my life. And I figured out how to turn it around. And I figured out the formulas and patterns and the beliefs and all the things that created that train wreck. And remember, I'm an educator by nature, so I would utilize my experience to assist others in what I was doing on a small scale. Mm-hmm. So in 2021, my whole family gets COVID. We drop like flies. When you get COVID, you think you're going to die. You're like, the first couple of days are the worst.
Horrible.
And then the next couple of weeks stuck, but at least you get to like lay around. You know what I mean? So I'm not like I've always been very driven. Now I live like I'm all peace and freedom and that, but like I was very, very driven, and it would take like a tranquilizer dart to slow me down. So I get COVID, basically, brings me to a halt. And while I'm in bed, when I started to feel better, all the things that I would talk about, my guidance were like plopping into my head in these profound ways. So I would go into my phone and I would just kind of like jot down. I'm like, that's smart, and then I'll get another one. Oh, that's smart. And then when I was feeling better, I'm like, let me organize it. Let me just put in some kind of document because, I'll use it in the gallery when I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And then I was like, let me write a blurb. And then I was like, holy crap, I think I'm writing a book. And then I wrote 10 Racks, but it drew on the really ugly experiences, like the really coming out of the trenches and coming into this light, of light and love and fulfillment. So it is the combination of both.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's moving about your experience is you don't hold back in 10 Rex about sharing your experience, right? One of the many things I love about you is your honesty. Is your authenticity, is your transparency. And one of the things that really moved me in your book is you recognize quite clearly that your earlier life, from as far back as you can remember, was a difficult period for you. You grew up, when you were younger, you grew up in a difficult environment. Do you want to share a little bit about that in terms of that experience and how that experience in some way formed you or shaped you in some way to the person you are now?
Sure. So when I talk about the recommendments, I do a whole thing on the prologue. My prologue is in 4 parts.
Yeah.
To be like, listen, this is just to give you the backstory. So when I talk about this and I, share an anecdote, you understand why. But the first 3 recommendments, I'm focused on the first one is I shall not claim victimhood. The second one is I shall not become entrenched in my emotions. And the third one is I shall not allow toxic belief systems and disserving behavioral patterns to dictate my trajectory or my experience. So those 3 things are the basis of all of our foundation. And if we have traumatic experiences that the patterns or the emotions aren't reconciled, we carry these in through life. So one of mine, I'll just give you one, My mother, she was distant. She had an affinity for my brother. I have an older brother. We're from an Italian family. So he was like the prince. And I was, the second one. I don't think I was really wanted. And I was loud and I was difficult. And my mother, because she had her imbalances and her dysfunction and wherever she came from, she came across as distant, neglectful. Even I had a situation when I was now in my early teens where we call it abandonment. Like my mother left me, right? My father, he wasn't living the life he desired for whatever his circumstances were. This is not a crying in my beer situation. This is a recognizing that these were human beings who happened to be my parents.
Yeah.
And he was volatile and aggressive and didn't know how to reconcile his emotions. So now you have the distant mother, the angry father, and the definitely the dissonance in their relationship. They eventually divorced, and a brother who was favored by the mother, who also lived in the dysfunction and was allowed to mistreat me because I was the lowest man on the totem. So, I mean, obviously we all have stories and like these extreme things that happened to us, but that was the overarching theme of me, developing. So what do I believe? My needs don't matter. I'm not worthy. When I ask to get my needs met, I'm a beast or a monster or a one-way street. My brother matters more than me, whatever it is, just those beliefs alone. Like we don't have to get into all the other ones. Like when my father said to me out of anger when I was about 9, I'm taking it out of context. But he said the words to a 9-year-old, well, you're fat and ugly and you'll never have a boyfriend. That'll go in there. We'll use that one for later when I want to be a total slut in high school and I'll prove that I'm not fat and I'm not ugly when I'll develop an eating disorder. We'll save that,
Yeah.
So
That goes in there.
Yeah, so that goes in. That's going to stay.
Yeah.
Because the 9-year-old, took it out of context. The 9-year-old now believed that. That goes into my treasure trove of irrational beliefs, my treasure trove, of my irrational beliefs. So I take that in my life and then I build my patterns on top of that. And then if I don't revisit my beliefs, my patterns and my coping mechanisms, they just get more and more extreme until life gets so hard, I'm forced to look at them. And we all do it. I'm just sharing my experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And your wake up call then to that. When did that happen? When did the scales fall from your eyes? And when did you suddenly see, oh my God, yeah, I have been claiming victimhood for such a long time. I will no longer do that. I will no longer become controlled by other people. I will seek my own destiny and my own future.
It's so hard to say. And I talk about this now in Decoding the Woo-Woo, the follow-up, how people talk about the dark night of the soul. Ooh, the dark night of the soul. Like basically the dark night of the soul is when things get shitty enough that you're like, all right, I got to make some changes. Right. So some people's dark night of the soul is like ODing and laying on, the floor of their own vomit. And they're like, okay, maybe I should do something different, or having that heart attack and going, maybe I should reduce stress in my life. Mm-hmm. I feel like mine came in layers, and I don't think I ever woke up and was like, I'm not going to claim victimhood. It wasn't like that. I think that it was the beautiful revelation of hindsight. Yeah. Like, I think looking back, I was able to go, we claim victimhood if we don't empower ourselves. Like, I think that came later, but mine definitely came in layers. I'd have to say my 30s were a real train wreck. Like, it was like everything, because in your 20s, everybody's screwing around, everybody's trying to figure it out. And then they start to figure it out. And it's like musical chairs. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you're standing alone and you're like, crap, everybody's married and everybody's got, like living their lives. And I'm still here, with jerk boyfriend, with a drug addiction, with all of these things, thinking that I'm following the rules because I got the good job like they told me to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it came in layers, but I'll tell you the one key turning point. This is a big one. So I had my children in 2009 and 2011. Yeah. At this point, I was just rolling into 40. Okay. Yeah. So I had my children and I learned unconditional love for the first time in my life, that I was like, and then I started getting angry. I'm like, oh, you fell short, So probably at 40, I had my children and I just was starting to turn things around because I had an event that whatever, too many stories, but basically I had the children. But then in 2012, so now I have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. In 2012, my father, who I had been estranged from since I was a teenager. So now I'm 41. I hadn't spoken to him since I was 18. We became estranged since I was 14. And he showed up basically looking to build a relationship with me. And because I now had this new level of love in my heart, I was able to have compassion for him, for the human that he was. I was able to forgive him and begin forging a relationship with him. And in doing that, I think that was the real shift for me. And then the other things show up. Okay, how are you going to handle this relationship with your mother? And then would that happen? How are you going to handle? Then I met my husband because he was able to step in because I had an open heart. And then that happened. And now I feel safe and secure in that relationship because Rob's amazing. And I'm able to tell all the other people to F off that have not been amazing. And then then I figure out I can paint, and then I leave my job, and that's how it snowballed. But I think that true understanding of unconditional love, which allowed me to have compassion and forgiveness, it's the answer to everything, Seamus. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opened the doors to everything. Absolutely. My Rob stepped in because I was able to put my father to rest. My patterns with men had been so tragic because of not reconciling that imbalance, because of not reconciling that broken relationship. You know,
yeah, I mean? We need to do the work, right, in order to get to that place. We need to. We need. It doesn't just. You suddenly just don't wake up one morning and go, "Hey, do you know what? I'm cool, man. I'm in Nirvana now. Everything's cool." Actually, we need to actively work as hard as we possibly can. Once we know. Like you say yourself, once you see grandma's knickers, you'll never go back from that, right?
Can't unsee grandma naked. I can't unsee grandma naked for sure.
You can't see that. And it's the same with our awareness. It's the same with our wellness. It's the same with who we really are. And when we see ourselves as who we really are, we can't unsee that.
100%. And, you made a good point, and this is actually recommendment 7 in 10 Recs, awareness and willingness. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's one thing to have awareness. I'm this way because we all do it. You know what I mean? I'm this way because my mother never loved me. Okay. You're aware of it. Great. Now you're aware you're an asshole. Great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you have to but then there's the willingness to do something about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And also there could be the lack of awareness. Maybe you know that there's a problem, but you don't know what to do about it. You know what I mean? So that's why you go to other people for assist. But awareness and willingness, you have to have both of them. Otherwise, you're not going to do the work. And, you're going to be running around. And this is me being totally irreverent. But people run around with a crystal in one hand under the moonlight and wondering why they're not healed.
Yeah.
No, you've got to just balance an imbalance. You've got to reconcile those imbalances.
You got to do the work, and you'll know as well as anybody in terms of my own situation, how I do the work on a daily basis. I get myself better every single day. It just doesn't. You just don't get that point in it, right? That you say, right, I'm done now. Okay, I can.
Put your feet up.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm done now. Yeah. I'm perfect now. Don't need to do anymore. That's me. I'm done. I don't need to see this shit anymore. I just need to follow on through. Whereas actually, when you're in the know, you'll know quite right that it becomes a responsibility. It becomes a personal responsibility. It becomes my responsibility, not other people's responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the 10 Recs is about, I think. Yeah. It's actually saying, okay, so you've had all that shit going on, right? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Are you just going to live with it? Or are you just going to deal with it?
Yeah, you blame everybody else.
You blame everybody else. It's everybody else's fault. I have no part in that. It's everybody else's fault. Big boy did it and ran away. It's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah. I say something. There's this beautiful quote in 10 Recs. I'm not going to try to search for it, but I say something about how like the dysfunction, it's been gifted. Like it was gifted to me by people that didn't even know they had it. They didn't know they carried it and they gifted to me. It was gifted to them. Yeah. It was gifted to them. People talk about breaking the generational cycles. People have asked me, what is your greatest accomplishment? Because I've done some cool things. You know what I mean? What's your greatest accomplishment? And I'm like, oh my God, breaking the cycle for my children. Absolutely. My children. And I joke, I'm like, listen, they'll have their own things to, talk to the therapist about, with me as the mother. But I consciously was aware of how I wanted them to feel. I wanted them to be safe and secure and grounded and whole and happy and love and creative and all of that. What do I have to do to make sure? Well, I have to break these cycles of abuse and neglect in order for them to have that. That's how we make the world a better place. We fix ourselves. We affect our immediate sphere of influence, and they tell two friends, and so on, like that Breck commercial from the 80s. That's how it works.
100%. And, and once that ball is rolling, that creates an energy in its own right, a positive energy, a creative energy that goes outward. And if you don't mind me saying so, you've exploded in that creative outburst.
Yeah.
You have exploded. Let me just put it in context for you.
Okay.
You've already written 3 books.
Six. I got 3 published. We got 3 in the hopper, just waiting to print. Yeah.
So 3 published, 3 in the hopper, right? I can't wait. Oh God, I'm going to have to work so hard. I'm going to have to work so hard and earn so much money to get my collection up and running. I'm going to have a section in my library that's just going to be Dana Sardano and Angela DeMarco.
Oh my God.
That's what it's going to be, right? That's what it's going to be. So
I freaking love you.
You've got your books, and I freaking love you too. You got your books. You've got your artistic side. You've got Going Commando. You've got your podcast that goes out live. You've got your arterial TV that's getting there. But you've also got Phenom Publishing. A unique Phenom collaboration. Tell me, how does all that kind of fit in, right, into who Dana Sardano is?
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It's so much. So hearing you say it, I'm like, where do I find the time? But you know what it is? So I had my own stuff that like was just about me. And then Angela DeMarco had her own stuff that was just about her. And Angela, the beautiful thing about our relationship, I look at it like the Venn diagram. You know what I mean? She's got her greatest strengths and I've got my greatest strengths, and they complement each other. And then where we overlap, we share a vision, we share a mission, we share some similarities. And again, as human beings, mutual respect and admiration and all those things. She's oh my God, we could do another hour on how much we love Angela.
We could.
Yeah, she's the best. So when we reconnected in 2020, we had all these things and we just started going, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, like, she had this idea for finduniquely.com. Wouldn't it be cool if? And I was like, okay, let's do it, and then we did it. And then, again, there's not enough time to get into the details of that. And then we had these books and we're like, and I was working with another publisher that wasn't really meeting my needs. So we're like, well, we've got the tools and we've got the ability. Why don't we create a publishing company? And then we started publishing other people's books as well. So we did that. Then as a part of Find Uniquely You, we were doing this little show called Cuddle Talk to interview our You instructors just to kind of get movement and get them seen. When we didn't have an instructor and to somebody to interview, we're like, let's just go commando. Let's just do it together. And then we were like, here's where the magic is. And so we just turned it into Going Commando. So then we did that. And so it's like how, you ask, what does that look like? It just looks like following a piece of candy. Like people talk about breadcrumbs. We're like, let's do that. Like we actually have to work at pulling ourselves back and focusing on one thing at a time. Angela's so funny. I'm like, spit them out. She's like a hamster because she's got all the candy in her mouth. I'm like, one thing at a time. So the message is, if you bring it back full circle, the message is, when you do the work, like you said, when you align yourself with the things that you desire, when you embrace your creativity, when the foundation is strong, it's like you can't stop the train of awesome things coming into your experience. And I say this from a very sincere, non-ivory tower place. Read 10 Racks. It was a shit show. It was a shit show. And I just started doing these things and it just expands and expands and expands. I am in a mushroom cloud of creative people, creative experiences, creative projects. You could just by listening to me, I can't, in my head, I'm like, reel it back, Dana. I'm like, but I can't. It's awesome.
Look, the energy goes outward, right? Because I can feel that energy 2,500 miles away. You're sitting in my room here in my living room in Manchester. I can feel it. I can feel it as if you're in the room with me.
It's fantastic, man. It's
You know,
fantastic.
it is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You know, and if Tenrex wasn't strong enough,
You know, the other one's 10 Rex. Yeah.
yeah, that one. That one's Tenrex. That one's going in the woo. Oh, look at me. I don't even know my left from my right. My God, what's happening to me? So, this one, Decoding the Woo Woo.
So good.
So that's like the instruction booklet for Tenrex, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
how easy could that be? If you don't know what Tenrex is about, get Decoding the Woo Woo.
Oh
That
my
will
God, you're
tell
so
you.
cute. Yeah. 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 It's something. The way I look at it, and again, I happen to have them here because I work with them.
No
like,
way.
Yeah.
No
Yeah. Yeah.
way.
No, what I'm saying is I like record audiobooks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like shameless plug. But the thing about 10 Rex is it really is the instruction manual to get yourself straight.
Yeah.
And then this is what happens after you get yourself straight.
Yeah.
And the reason I wrote Decoding the Woo Woo is because when I found myself on the spiritual journey, you get all caught up in like these different things. You're like, I wonder what sound bowls are about. And I wonder what past life regression is about. And what do they mean when they say synchronicity and alignment and manifestation? And oh, wait, crystals are cool. And you get like, and I opened the gallery, which was an art gallery and intuitive lounge because I connected with all these magical people. You know what I mean? But what I noticed was it's really daunting. And that's what my show is about, the Decoding the Woo Woo, to help people who are stepping into the spiritual world. It's really, really daunting. And some of it feels disingenuous because you got people walking around, preaching the gospel and they're not walking the walk.
Yeah.
Because you have to do this first. You can't skip this. There's no skipping this to get to this. You can't skip this to get to this.
You can.
You know what I mean?
You can. No.
Yeah. How could you eat your meat if you don't have your pudding? Or could you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat? How does it go? Okay, never mind.
Okay. No, I just said I could have my pudding before my meat. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I could have a reverse meal. I could start with pudding first.
Yeah, you could.
You know what I mean?
I took us right off the rails. My apologies.
No. That's absolutely fine. God, we could speak about puddings all day long, but we won't because I want to talk about the literally amazing duality of these two books. When you put these two books together, wow, what a combination.
Yeah, they really are.
Do you recognize, Dawn? I've asked this to you many, many times before. Do you recognize, and I've messaged you before, do you recognize how powerful these two books really are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. What I've seen, there's so many awesome resources out there for people who want to do better in their jobs. They want to do better in their relationships. They're like very specific, very niche. You know what I mean? And it's like all of these doors, all these compartments, right? Of I want to do better here and here, or whatever it is. With my children, I want to raise my children better, whatever it is. And what people don't realize is everything just keeps going back here.
Yeah.
It's like throwing Band-Aids. I'm going to throw a Band-Aid on my situation with my boss. I'm going to throw a Band-Aid on my situation with my kids and a Band-Aid on my situation with my relationship with my body, whatever it is. But when you get to the source of it, and you stop the bleeding from the source, you don't need all the Band-Aids because it heals itself. It fixes itself. And that's why I understand the magnitude of this and this one also, because once you do that, you find yourself here. And like I said, you find yourself in this world that you're like, what does this all mean? Yeah. And I'm just like, it's just an extension of you.
Yeah.
It's just part 2 of you. So yes, I do. To answer your question, I totally understand the magnitude. I feel weird myself, like when I tell people, I'm like, you got to read this book.
You got to read this book. I'm telling people, you got to read this book. I'm looking at the camera lens now and say, people, if you've not bought the book already, and Dana hasn't paid me to say this, if you've not bought it already, go out and buy it today. Actually, buy the 2 of them because you can't do one without the other. And that comes from the author herself.
My goodness. Thank you for saying that, because when I say it, it sounds weird. It's like, isn't my kid gorgeous? And everybody's like, yeah, okay. All right. But like, I'm telling you, I've seen it change people's lives. And that's why I make so much noise about it. This is not about me. This is not about my ego. This is not about read my book. This is like, come on, let's all do this together, people, because that's how we make the world a better place. getting our shit together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, case in point, use me as a witness. Right? Dana, since the time I've known you, since the time I've read these books are changing my life on a daily basis.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I love that
on
so
a daily basis. On a daily basis. When you look at me as the person I am now, and you look at me a year ago, hey, listen, I've grown a bit, right?
You're awesome, dude. You're on fire. You
You
are
know,
on fire.
I am, and that's down to taking on board the advice and guidance and intuition that's in these books.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I love that so much.
You know, so if it can happen to me, you know, another person from, you know, with his own little background, and I'm not going to speak about that today, who is now kicking it and zooming it and exploding out there into the digital world, not only has a website, not only has a podcast, but very, very, very soon, I expect going to have a book published. I wouldn't know any, you know, publishing houses that may take it though. You know, so yeah.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
I know. But what I'm saying to you is, this book is not a library book. This book is not meant for the shelf. This book is meant for your hand on a daily basis, because it will guide you, it will lead you, it will involve you, it will challenge you.
Yeah.
To look at what you're carrying. You need to offload some stuff. You need to work on some stuff, to move on some stuff, and you need to take a little bit of personal responsibility from some stuff as well, aka me, myself, and I, because it starts with me, myself, and I, doesn't it?
Oh my, totally. And you know, as you're talking, I'm thinking about all the people that I have given the book to, because I'm like, you know, this would really help you. And honest to God, I know so many people that have like read like the first 2 pages and couldn't read it. And I never took it personally, because I understand that they're not ready. They're not ready. I met somebody else who had read the book. I didn't know her. I met her through somebody else, and she said she had read it. And what she said to me was, because I'm like kind of funny in it in some places. And she's like, yeah, it was a fun read. And I was like, she didn't get it. She didn't get it, because if you're not doing the work, then it's not fun all the time. The consequence of the work is fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're in it, dude, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And so I'm just trying to say, you're not in it alone. You know, that this is a person who's in it, who's been in it. And I'm just explaining to you how, you know, maybe ways, how I got out of it, essentially. So I know people are given the book and they just, thank you. So if you're ready, like this is a plea, not really a plea, but sort of like a call to action. If you're ready to make the changes, if you're just tired of the bullshit and what you're seeing around you in the world and want your little microcosm to be better, bigger, stronger, then this is the book for you. If you're not ready and you're still watching the news and pointing the finger at everybody else and picking sides, then maybe you should put this one aside and read something else.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I like that. I'm going to use that as a clip.
Right.
That can be your promo clip, right? Read the books. Read the books.
Love it.
Be ready. Read the books.
I love it.
Be ready, though, to change your life. If you want to read these books, be ready to have your life change. If you pick up these books, you know,
you're absolutely right.
They should come with a very positive health warning, and the warning is, this stuff will change you if you take it on board.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to tell you, Seamus, your ability to see me and your willingness and your openness to everything that comes with this, you know, the books or whatever it is a true, true testament to the purity of your soul. It's a true testament to who you are. Oh my God. You know, Angela and I both, we adore you, because you are one of the very, very, very few real people. You're special. And that's why you were able to open it and read it and take something from it, because of the purity of your soul.
I take it in every day, Dana. It's like part of my therapy on a daily basis now.
Yeah.
There isn't a part of that book that you wouldn't open and you wouldn't find something to move you, something to challenge you, something that you'd find, oh, yeah, that makes a very good point. But you're right. you've got to see it. You've got to be ready to see it. And when you see it, you cannot unsee it, right? It's like what we start right at the beginning. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah, 100%. And you know how people people who read the Bible on the daily and they read because they go to passages that they find inspiring.
Yeah.
Sometimes they read that same passage several times. And it's funny because, and I want to bring up a deck of cards and talk about them with you for a second. But what I find, because there's 10 commandments, I think the first time you read the book, it's in your best interest to read it from start to finish.
Yeah.
So you get it in its full context. But there might be a day that you need to read the 6th commandment. And the 6th commandment is about judgment, attachment, and expectation. And you need that reminder. Commandment 10 is about love versus fear. And maybe you need to be reminded of where you are holding on to fear in your life.
Yeah.
Commandment 5 is about, contentment. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm remembering this. Commandment 9 is about being able to see the big picture and not focusing on this, what's right in front of you.
The microcosm, yeah. The
microcosm. So there are moments like reading the Bible chapter and verse and pulling that same verse that inspires you. It may be what you need. But do you mind if I show you something really quickly?
Absolutely, fire on.
Okay.
It's your floor, Dana.
All right. So I've been referring to these cards a lot lately, and I want to pull one for you. Okay.
Talk to me about the cards. What are the cards?
Okay. So I created this deck of cards. We're going back about 5 years with my dear friend Anne-Marie Scorti. She's a trance channel, and she channeled in her meditation these beautiful messages of empowerment and wisdom and inspiration. So we came together, and with my artwork.
Absolutely.
So with my artwork and her beautiful, empowering channeled messages. So I want you just point one out. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's so good. Okay. So this, just so you know, she's actually hanging right there. Her name is Maliki. And she's actually, if you look closely, she's a tree goddess. In the picture, it's hard to tell. You can see behind me where she's kind of connected to the tree. When I bought the gallery, there was this beautiful, gigantic and elder banyan tree in the back. And it felt like it was watching over the gallery. I was so taken with this tree. Everybody was like, when they would come to the gallery. And so the first painting that I painted in the gallery was Maliki, goddess of the forest.
Fantastic.
Okay. So here's the message. A pat on the back. Your journey is a transformational process, but it is a process in the truest sense. It requires work that cannot be done for you. I know. Allow yourself to recognize the transformation within. You will see the differences surfacing. Then, on a conscious level, acknowledge your growth to yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. It is your reward to yourself. There is no punishment, only rewards. Channeled by Anne-Marie Scorti.
Wow.
Isn't that good?
Wow.
Yeah, got to do the work. But what we do is sometimes we beat ourselves up and we're doing the work and doing the work and doing the work. Take a breath and appreciate how far you've come. Yeah. Every once in a while, I do where was I a year ago? Where was I 2 years ago? And I'm amazed at you just said a year ago. You're a different guy. You're on fire because you do the work. Yeah, yeah, right? And gosh, you've been a fighter too. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
You do the work, man. You do the work. And when you do the work, you're absolutely right. Sometimes we're so focused on the journey and so focused on the destination, right? And so focused on where we want to get to. We forget that we're on a journey. And sometimes it's good, right? You know me, I go to Scotland quite a lot, for work and for travel. But I like stopping at a motorway service station because you're off the motorway. You can take a break. You can chillax a bit. You can relax a bit. You can have a cup of tea. You can get a cake. At a service station, which is wonderful. But it allows you just to take that minute and say, "Oh wow, I've done half. I've come halfway, right? And I've got halfway to go." So you can rest, reset, reconfigure it, and off you go again. And you're right. In doing the work, that sometimes we hit ourselves with the stick because we're not there yet. What we should be looking at, how far we've come.
100%.
How far we've come. And and as that beautiful card said, you pat yourself on the back. You know, you celebrate with yourself. Oh my God, you know, yeah, it's not perfect. It's not nirvana. We're not there yet. But actually, do you know what? It's way down the road from where we were.
Yeah. 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 And we're so used to beating ourselves up, Seamus.
Yeah.
We're so used to it's a learned behavior. It's criticism, it's a learned behavior. And we're our worst critic. And when we could stop, and you know, one of the things that Angela and I say at the beginning of Commando all the time is we are embracing our greatness. We are stepping into our greatness, and we're hoping by doing so, we encourage you to do the same. And that's what I think the what humanity is missing right now, because everybody's in so much pain in a collective. We're all in so much pain, and there's such this perpetuation of pain outside of us. And there's this momentum of thousands of years of pain. And so we're all just in pain, bumping into each other and creating more pain. And if we could all just step back and take a breath and work on our own pains and recognize our growth, then look at you, the two of us. You and I were shot out of a cannon because the energy of our individual growth is so strong. We come together, it's exponential. So think about if everybody did that, then the pain would dissipate, because the light, the joy, the energy, the positive energy, it swallows that. Like, you know what I mean? It's far greater than that.
It is.
So yeah, everybody take a second, look at yourself, look at what you've done, look at what you've overcome, and give yourself a pat on the back. And then we move forward. Have some cake even.
Have some cake. Step off the motorway of life. Have some cake. And while you're there, while you're sitting there, take a look at the 10 Commandments, the 10 Rex.
Read a book.
Read a book. Read a book. You got to read this one.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
Before you read this one. Dana, we could talk for hours. And, you know, I wish we could. I suppose what I want to ask you is that if you imagine somebody out there today listening to this podcast, who's stuck and doesn't know where to go, what would you say to them?
Oh my goodness. You know, when you feel stuck, it's like no matter what anybody says to you, you don't understand because my situation is different. Like that's how it feels. Like I've been given advice about 1,000 things, and my situation is different. But anybody who's out there who's feeling stuck, yes, your situation is unique to you, because we are all unique individuals having our own unique experience. But the pattern of your experience, the causes of the experience, the psychology behind your experience, it is universal. And if you understand that you're not in it alone, even though it feels that way, and that there is a way out, and people do understand, and it begins with understanding, believing that you can move forward, you can get out, then you are open to the assist. You're open to the information. You're open to the opportunity for growth to be what's next. So my blanket advice for somebody who's way, way, way back here that's stuck is it starts with you believing you can get out. And then everything else will reveal itself to you.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Powerful. Dana, I love your authenticity. I love your transparency. I love your down-to-earth approach. I love the way you write. I love the way you paint. I just love absolutely everything about you in terms of your humanity. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience having you on my show today. Honestly, I don't know if it can go on after episode. I smashed it after episode 2. I know I've got other people waiting in the wings, and now I'm thinking maybe, this is it. This is the yeah. Thank you. No,
Seamus, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm only as good as the company I keep. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, you think I'm so great because you see you in me.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I absolutely do. So I would say to everybody listening today, if you've not already bought the 10 Commandments, if you've not already bought Decoding the Woo Woo, please go out today and buy it.
Oh my goodness.
Please go out today and buy it, because of all the two books you're going to read this year, you're never going to read two more powerful books ever in your whole life. That is if you're ready to be moved. That is if you're ready to be changed. That is if you're ready to become more aware of who you are and your own unique potential and who you are as an individual. Other links I'll put on this webcast, this podcast, this podcast this afternoon. There will be links to Angela's Ubuntu Fish Gallery.com. There will be links to Going Commando. If you want to listen, if you want to listen to two wonderful people talk about how not to be cheese bags, go and listen to this podcast. All right, I try not to be a cheese bag every single day. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, right? Go listen to Going Commando today. Angela and Dana's other works include Phenom Collaboration, finding uniquelyu.com. The links are awesome. The links are out there. I could mention them all day. Just go look them up. Connect with these people. Absolutely amazing. Dana, it's been honestly the highlight of my podcast career. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Have you on my show. The difficulty, as is the difficulty as you've experienced with 360.com when we connected there, is that it's very hard to follow you.
My God, you flatter me. I'm like sweating at this point.
but it is very hard to follow you. I'm left with a whole lot of decisions now. Who follows Dana in terms of the next episode, right?
You're so cute.
Yeah, you are just amazing, Dana Sardano. Thank you ever so much for being on my show today. Thank you for your time, for your energy, for your beauty, for your humanity, for your authenticity, for your creativity. Keep creating, keep getting the message out there. And I, from my small part, will continue to act on your behalf as ambassador in the UK for Dana Sardano to ensure that the message goes far and wide across this beautiful planet of ours so that everybody can connect to the beautiful energy which you give out.
My God, Seamus. Mwah! I love you. You're the best. Thank you.